Thank you, Frontend Nation, today for the invitation. And I'm super excited to talk about this new topic about all the AI hype and vibe coding things. And I'm going to share with you my experience and what I've learned with vibe coding using React. So I am Kawtar Choubari. I'm a software engineer born in Morocco. I've done all my studies there, and now I'm working in France as a software engineer, working with React, React Native, TypeScript, JavaScript, all these amazing tech stack. I'm also a public speaker, so I've delivered a couple of talks that you can check on my personal website if you want to access the slides or other resources. And I've also created like some content on the internet, like mainly part-time. I'm not so much consistent on that. And yeah, so I'm super excited today to talk about the vibe coding thing. So I guess you all know what vibe coding is. So it's this new approach where you can describe what you want in natural language and let AI generate the code. It sounds magical, but I think it can be, but only powerful and efficient if we understand what's happening under the hood. So the AI ecosystem have exploded recently. I mean, we used to hear about new GS frameworks every week, but now we are hearing about new LLMs and AI tools frequently. So for coding, for example, we've got Cloud Artifacts, V0, we have Bolt, Replit, Cursor, and many amazing tools that democratizes development in ways that we've never seen before. So these AI tools can work virtually with any framework, basically. But when you ask them to build a new AI app, they will like for sure suggest a specific tech stack, which is a clear winner in this case. And most AI tools that generate code from scratch, they will follow a predictable pattern, which is React with Next.js and Site with Tailwind CSS. And this combination works beautifully because of React's component-based architecture and also with Tailwind's utility classes that are both easy for AI to understand and to implement systematically. So why does React dominate AI-generated code? Like, we all know that React revolutionized web development with its component-based architecture, making development more modular, efficient, and scalable. So React has always been about component thinking and reusability, and AI fits perfectly into this mindset. I mean, the flexibility and massive community support also plays an important role as AI models have been trained on millions of React examples, making their output more reliable and predictable. There is also another important point about React, which is the developer experience, as Kenzie Dodds captures perfectly in this rewritten article about just use React. And we can give, for example, like hot model replacements for instant feedback, the TypeScript integrations that React allows, and also the robust debugging tools that we have. We have a mature tooling landscape for React that is not just AI friendly, but also developer friendly too. So let me share with you some of the experiences and things I've noticed while vibe coding too much with React. And let's try to address a reality check, which is vibe coding is not all about sunshine and rainbows. Like there are some serious issues hiding in AI generated React code that can turn quickly your prototype into a maintenance nightmare. So let me share with you some examples, but we will mainly focus on performance and security issues. But of course, there are some other problems with code quality, maintainability, reusability, and architectural decisions that we'll touch on briefly. So let's start with performance issues with vibe coding code. So first thing is AI models are often trained on beginner tutorials that are outdated and some old Stack Overflow answers, which means that they will inherit years of bad practices. We have also like code that is generated and relied heavily on outdated patterns and anti-patterns that were common before React best practices evolved. And here is the bigger issue. We had previously in the past inefficient patterns that React community itself adopted and spread. So the React rich ecosystem led developers to misuse React tools like use effects for everything and creating states heavily. So these common anti-patterns have been stuck around for years, and this bad data has been used sadly to train AI. So now we have the new React docs that suggested better best practices, but as we can see, in terms of quantity of data used by these AI models to train on are mainly on beginner articles and all bad practices. We are also like, I noticed that a lot of AI generated code miss up with like some best practices like cleanup functions and also like management of imports of libraries that will result in bloated applications and slow loading. And now we will discuss the other common issues which address the security concerns. So on the security front, let me share with you what I've personally noticed when vibe coding gets out of control. So I was working on a brand new project that is fully vibe coded, and I started with server components. So if you are not too much into Next.js and vibe coding with React and Next.js, you will miss a lot of best practices, and you will create some, or AI will create some anti-patterns that you are not aware of. For example, I started coding my application, and the main component was server component, and I was doing some fetches from the backend using like environment variables like API keys or just the link of our API. And then I just prompted the AI to add some interaction to my component. So basically the AI will add like kind of states um, that will like do the interaction of my UI, and then they will add the use state directive on the beginning of the file, which will make my whole component a client component. And then I faced an obvious bug, which is environment variables are not accessible by these client components. So I need to convert these environment variables with by adding the next public to make these environment variables accessible to client components. And of course, this was just a vibe coding experiment, and I've noticed this pattern at the end. And the AI really went on a wrong path, which is making the server components a client component, and then publicly exposing all my environment variables. So this is another common issue of security. If you don't know too much and the framework you are using and its best practices, AI will go out of control and expose all your sensitive data. Of course, I'm not talking about the obvious things like hard coding API keys and like forgetting to validate inputs and sanitization, which AI thinks that and assumes that data is always clean, and it completely ignores sometimes authentication checks before rendering sensitive UI components, or sometimes exposing some private routes, and yeah. So if you are not very specific in your prompts and going fully vibe coding with AI, you will have a lot of security concerns. Now, this brings us to the core message of this talk, which is what are the fundamentals that we can simply not skip when vibe coding? So while AI can write code very fast, I think that knowing these fundamentals will save you a lot of time and a lot of pain. The first things first is knowing JavaScript and TypeScript basics. So this is pretty obvious, but I still need to emphasize on this point because JavaScript is a weird language and it has a lot of weird behaviors. So I think the bare minimum is to know like the clean code patterns, like destructuring, or also like try to learn about promises, asynchronous and async-await operations, how they work under the hood, and also classic array methods. And I suggested here at the end some advanced GS patterns, which is an ebook that you can download from this link and study further about JavaScript patterns. And of course, if you are using TypeScript, there are a lot of best practices so you can write your types and interfaces very clearly. So this is like the very building block of vibe coding with AI. Then we have React fundamentals. So for React itself, I think, or it's pretty obvious that the component lifecycle knowledge is crucial because it prevents AI from putting data fetching in render functions, or it also help you to detect side effects in the wrong hooks that AI code may do. And also understanding how compilation works in React and how the virtual DOM concept works together. They are not just a theory, but it will help you to know exactly what's happening under the hood and to what makes React apps break with AI code. And lastly, we have like to learn advanced React patterns. I just state an example here, which is props and events flows. So a common pattern is to have props down and events up. So this is a common pattern in React, which makes that data flows goes down through props from parent to children. Again, we will discuss this further about like prop streaming. But if we talked about events, for example, we can manage that with callbacks, so we can have the events upflow from children to parents. And I found that AI often violates this by creating like circular dependencies or putting state in the wrong components entirely. And if you are an absolute beginner or just coming out from another framework, as I mentioned, if you are vibe coding, you will face React code so much. So you may be considering switching to React and learn it. I highly recommend to check these two links. This one is from the updated React docs, where they shared tutorials, written tutorials about their best practices. And if you want to dive deeper into Next.js, they also have like written courses that will help you understand more about and learn more of these two tools, so you can have that reflex when vibe coding. Now let's talk about one of the pain points of AI and dark spots, which is state management. So AI often goes wrong in this. I can guarantee you that. And it will, for example, use state for everything and create props really nightmares. And you should understand when to lift state up and the difference, for example, between controlled and uncontrolled components. And this knowledge can be built by reading what other expert developers shares online, either on talks or on social media websites or blogs. So the state management skills comes a lot from practice and from doing mistakes and learning from them. So we have also another point, which is the unnecessary re-renders. So I found that React has also a blind spot in this, which is like, for example, it generates inline objects in props or mixed dependencies array in use effects, or for example, like we have a lot of unnecessary re-renders between a parent that re-renders all the children, and we can name a lot of examples. So I can also like suggest to you to try to learn more about or try to implement in your code the cleanup functions at the end of your lifecycle component. And also there is an extension called React Scan that will help you identify which components are re-rendered when an action happened on the screen. And so yeah, this is the cool meme which perfectly captures the reality of AI vibe coding. So AI by default try to use effect for everything, and we often sometimes need a better solution, which is like state management tools, and if we have like complex state management, and sometimes we just don't need effects. So here is an example, and like here is the creator of React Scan extension, which perfectly shows an example where cursor suggested this pattern with use state and use effect syncing, and which is not necessarily, because instead of syncing props to states and using use effects, you can just use the prop directly, and that's it. So if you don't need state, I think I think you don't need a state when you are, or I think you are only needing a state when you are transforming or deriving something from the prop. So having this pattern is completely something that has been done wrongly by the community, and a lot of open source code has these patterns. So that's why AI suggested more this old bad practice. And of course, this if you accept results from Cursor or any AI tool immediately with blindly without reading it, you will create a lot of technical debt. So let's talk about sustainable vibe coding. And I think vibe coding is here to stay. It's democratizing development so anyone can build without being an expert, and also while giving experienced developers incredible speed. And as Sundar highlighted, with great power comes great responsibility. So the reality is vibe coding is exciting, right? But you don't need to, it's exciting until you need to debug the mess it created. So I'm here to suggest you some tips that will work with React code and also could fit any other framework. And I'm gathering this list based on vibe coding so much and using AI every day on my code. So one of the tips that I could suggest is try to start organization early. So try to create a consistent folder structure from day one and separate business logic from UI logic. This will help giving context to AI tools and editors so they can follow the same pattern. Also, try to collocate related files, for example, the test files with their components, or also like if you want to group styles and types in separate folders, but in the same way. So try to collocate related files. And lastly, Git is your safety net. So when AI inevitably breaks something, and try to analyze well your diffs before pushing and committing breakups to production. Because AI often, when you ask AI or any AI code editor to fix something specific, it usually do some mistakes and try to edit other files that are not concerning with your prompts. So everything we discussed so far will help us understand how things actually work by knowing like the fundamentals of React and JavaScript and the tools you're working on. So by understanding these basic fundamentals, you will have and build that reflex and React knowledge so we can write better prompts for AI instead of saying, please fix it, fix this issue or fix this bug repeatedly. Another good tip that I want to suggest is quality assurance. So this is non-negotiable because you will often have inconsistent code written by AI. So the minimum I can suggest is use TypeScript because it helps you catches inconsistencies early before pushing to production. And you can obviously activate the strict mode of TypeScript. And another thing is try to invest sometimes on ESL rules. So try to pick the rules that will work for you, or just try to see what other people in the community suggest Like I've seen this link yesterday, so I haven't tried it, but I will give it a try, which is the anti-pattern we discussed that previously, that you may not need a use effect in a lot of cases. So this is a new link that you can add in your project, and that will help you detect these anti-patterns early. There are also some other ESLint rules of the community, like TypeScript ESLint, and a lot of amazing rules that you can integrate into your project early, so it can help you catch bugs. And lastly, I would suggest to also invest some time to add Git hooks, which will help you ensure your code quality before it hits your repository. Again, another thing, which is the testing strategy. So I think AI helps and have a lot of powerful things that we can, a powerful advantage that we can get from AI, which is we can use AI to automatically generate our test cases for our new components or new business logic that we created. So please do not forget to add this and implement a testing strategy. And you can also, like, for example, use a React testing library for component interactions, mock external dependencies that AI often gets wrong. And yeah, so try to implement this very early in your strategy. Another tip that I want to suggest is when you're prompting with an AI editor, try to in your prompt, try to integrate that. So telling the AI to create automatically the test files of the components they are working with, and try to let the AI to run the tests before it completes its code generation iteration. Again, another important point, which is the maintenance guidelines. So maintenance requires regular refactoring sessions to consolidate the AI duplications, because AI will for sure duplicate codes, especially if you are writing separate prompts and managing files differently and separately. And also, as your code base grows, you will have a lot of custom hooks, and I'm sure you will have like hooks that have a lot of that are so huge and large. So try to do some refactoring sessions where you can focus, for example, on splitting those custom hooks or implementing like code splitting for large components. And lastly, try to set up cursor rules for your as your team's standards. Again, there are a lot of community examples on GitHub repositories where you can find cursor rules, for example, of React code or of TypeScript, and you can try to pick the ones that would suit your team's needs. And lastly, try to make refactoring a habit, and yeah. Lastly is prompt engineering. So prompt engineering is a skill itself. Uh, Here is a quick story I noticed. So we tried to do a challenge with my colleagues, and we had like a problem to solve, and we used the same AI tools, and we tried to solve this problem with the same AI tool. And we did some kind of competition between us to see who is the faster, who will came up with the cleanest solution generated by AI. So again, if you don't know how to write prompts, you will achieve results very slow with AI, and sometimes you will not generate the clean code. So I think this is a very important skill that is emerging in our generation. And I will also suggest that try to have a clear vision before you start writing. So um, for example, you can attach the context you have or examples of previous code that AI will just try to clone and do the same for it. And lastly, try to ask AI to identify like performance bottlenecks if you can't spot them or you just don't have time to do that. And you can also suggest to AI to fix all the other bugs upfront. And as I mentioned previously, try to ask for writing documentation because it's important and it's one of the manual heavy tasks that could be automated with AI. And try to always tell AI to fix the linting errors and run tests before finishing the code generation. Now, remember that the best vibe coders still understand code, and the key is you will still need to learn React and learn their best practices so you can uh, advance with AI very fast and write and accelerate with AI. So I think AI for coding plays an important role to accelerate in building features. But of course, you will need to have all these technical background and experience to generate better code. And lastly, try to know when to refactor AI outputs and when to accept it. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, the refactoring sessions are very important so you can improve on the time the readability and have to improve on the time the skills you have on and improve the skills you have on refactoring. So let me mention briefly as a conclusion what I think from my perspective the future of web development. So I think React will continue to dominate the web development in our generation, and because of course, as we said, it's components-based architecture that perfectly matches how AI thinks, and how AI builds modular interfaces. And there is another point that I want to highlight, which is just a prediction for me. I'm not sure it will happen or not in the future, but I think we may see the end of boilerplate because now we can create React app very fast and depending on our needs. So AI can help us create those boilerplates. So I guess we will see less boilerplates on the community, but instead we will focus on best practices of refactoring and how to improve the AI generated code. Again, another important point that I will highlight forever, which is planning before vibing. So if you don't know how to tackle a feature or something that you want to implement, AI will also not know how to start it. So try to write a plan in bullet points how you would tackle this problem, and you can delegate to AI later. And again, the new skills of our generation, which is prompt engineering and natural language processing. Again, I've also noticed the MCPs, which are very emergent lately, and I think I've tried them, and there will be like a good future about using MCPs and integrating our code with external tools like GitHub, so you can create pull requests or interact with your remote repository directly from prompts and from your editor. And there are a lot of amazing use cases where MCPs will continue to develop in the future. And lastly, I also predict that we will have a lot of refactoring sessions inside teams and inside like companies. So we will rely more on AI generated code, but this will create some kind of bottlenecks. So we will have also regular refactoring sessions. And now let's keep it real. So despite the hype of AI and vibe coding, I still think that skilled React developers are still very much in demand. And I want to highlight a little quote, which is even airplanes have an autopilot mode, they still need pilots. So I think this will also be the same in coding and with React or any other framework. We noticed that there is a shift in our work and in our software engineering field, but I still think that we will need developers in the future. So thank you so much for your attention. And what do you think about vibe coding? And do you think that we will still have we will still need human expertise for creating code for training AI models? Or let me know. You can reach me on social media accounts under this handler, and I will for sure reply to you. And I'm super excited to know what do you think about this topic.
Thank you so much for your lovely presentation. It was amazing hear all of these tips and tricks and how we can do it better. We have a couple of questions for you if you're ready.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. So, someone was asking how to handle difficulties to maintain project structure with vibe coding, even if it provides all components.
So I I think this is a common issue with large scale projects. So, and especially when a lot of developers join the team and then exit the company and things like that. So we will have a lot of collaborators in the same project. So I think one of the solutions that I will suggest is to have some sort of guidelines that you can build further when working with this project. So you can either use it internally when new team members join the company, or also you can provide it to AI. So you can have this defined structure and architecture you use. So AI can follow these guidelines you define.
Thank you. Someone else is asking how do you balance development velocity with code quality when using AI?
Yeah, this is a very cool question because we've noticed that as well at work. And I think with AI, the the amount of time we are consolidating to code reviews is becoming so much important, because we know that the new code in pull request will be like likely used with AI assistance. So we are giving more importance in code review, and this takes a lot of time because you need to manually and use human to review the code. And yeah, I think it's just a shift on our software engineering field. So we are now having more focus on code reviews than the development itself.
Perfect. Thank you for your lovely answer. And we have one more question for you. What automated tools can help catch issues in AI generated code?
Yeah. So as I suggested in my tips, I think the tests are necessary and are mandatory in all projects, especially large scale projects, because and you need to be strict on this point, because tests will help you catch bugs that are created by AI generated code. And also you need to invest more on LinkedIn. So you can add more rules to your ESLint or any other LinkedIn you use. So you can catch up these errors way before pushing to remotely to repository. And lastly, you can of course ask AI to fix these issues if you catch them early.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation, but also for these answers. As you mentioned, you're quite active on social media, so if people
Yeah,
have more questions, they can find you there as well. Thank you very much.
sure. Sure. Thank you. Bye.